Chapter 4. She Lost Me. A Disguised Help. One time a lady noticed us and volunteered to help. Little did my mom know that what the lady really wanted was to take me away from her. She had all male children and really wanted a girl, so she found her solution in me. She tried to convince my mom to give me away to her, but my mother declined. We had already been together for a year. Since that did not work, the lady threatened my mother with calling the police and saying that she was abusing me and was not fit to take care of me. By manipulation and force, my mom gave in to her pressure, having no other choice. However, she did not just disappear. Discreetly, she roamed around to check on me. One good day, after confirming that this woman was really not taking good care of me, she confronted her, quickly grabbed me, and we ran away. Looking for a job. A few months later, as things were very hard, my mother decided to go to another province to see if she could get hired as a house cleaner. She left me with another lady and promised to pay for my care once she got the job. Unfortunately, she was not hired. When she returned, she went to pick me up empty-handed, and my caregiver refused to give me back until she received her payment. Although my mom promised she would get her the money, the lady stood on her grounds and kept me with her. Abandoned on a bus. Later on, my mother found out that the police were looking for her. The woman who was taking care of me abandoned me on a commercial bus late at night. I believe someone must have informed the police about an abandoned child on a bus. After investigations and making it to the headlines, mother abandons her child on a bus. They finally discovered my mom's identity and assumed she was the one responsible for leaving me on the bus. Placed for adoption. They summoned her to the police station together with my biological grandmother. The police had a talk with my grandmother, and after discussing, they decided that the best thing to do was to place me for adoption. The authorities determined that my mother was unfit to care for me, and without the authorization of either my grandmother or my mom, they separated us. And there I was, placed on the system list, waiting for a new home, a new family, a new beginning. My mom spent many years angry with my grandmother, thinking that she was to blame for our separation. In fact, it took over 15 years before they spoke again. Mom tried getting me back. Mom tried every means possible to get me back, but it did not work out. Maybe it was not destined to be at that moment. Her young age and lack of almost everything were against her. I did not really spend much time in the adoption center. Soon enough, I found a loving family and even a new name to start afresh. My name was changed from Yanina to Malaika. Since my biological mom was still after me, she learned about my new name, and therefore she easily recognized me when I contacted her online. She knew that I had a different name. Years of silence. After some months, her case got cold, and she never again heard from me until almost 34 years later, in 2016. She never really forgot about me. She actually celebrated my birthdays in her heart every year. She constantly prayed to find me. At that time in her life, she still hadn't made up her mind to give her life to Christ. But sometime later, after refusing several invitations to church from a very good friend, she finally took the step of giving her life to Jesus. Interestingly, after 5 months of making that decision, we were able to reunite miraculously. It is as if God was waiting for that moment before restoration. On the day I found my mom online, we exchanged phone numbers and then spoke for hours, after which we later decided to meet face to face. I still remember it was on March 8th, 2016 that we finally met again. It was definitely a memorable day. I know you might have many questions about my blood family. Well, as stated before, my dad never recognized me as his daughter, and his relationship with my mom's friend did not work out either. He eventually traveled to the United States where he got himself killed at a young age. He had planned to join a gang, but first he had to pass through the initiation process, which involved killing another person. He agreed, but later he realized that the person to eliminate was his own cousin. Since he saw himself unable to kill his cousin, both he and his cousin were murdered. That was a very sad ending for him. my grandmother's death. After a few years, my grandmother and mom finally reconciled. By the time I reunited with my mother, my grandmother was still alive. I got to meet both of them the same day. But unfortunately, a year after our reunion, my grandmother passed away. I never got to spend much time with her, but I thank God for the privilege of meeting her and being able to hug her. Oh, I have other siblings. I was pleased to know that I have 3 younger stepbrothers. One went to be with the Lord at the age of 9 after an unfortunate accident. The other 2 have grown to be wonderful, responsible men. They are married with kids, and we get along very well. Until today, my biological mother and I have a sweet relationship, and we even worship and are actively working together in the same church.